Oh my god! EVO 2024 was amazing and it was freaking lit, bro. From watching all the tournaments for my favorite games such as Under Night and Birth and getting to play a lot of demos for games I'm ready to play such as 2XKO and City of the Wolves Fatal Fury. But let's not lie, I really was 100% on board, even more, to play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This is my first impressions and my early thoughts on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero from the EVO 2024 build. This build is likely very similar to the Anime Expo build and the one that we first had when we got press gameplay footage at Summer's Game Fest 2024. Now first things first, I want to drop some disclaimers before I go any further. Disclaimer, this is early on and I may 100% be wrong. It might change when I get my hands on the game fully, but I gotta talk about it in detail now. I've had roughly about 30 minutes to an hour of total playtime in the Sparking Zero booth. I didn't want to waste my time and they weren't doing like private screens or anything like that. Number two, the way the build works is not the way you think everybody had ample amount of time on. You go up, you pick 3 characters and you fight 1 character. It's not like a true team battle. Essentially, it's like playing Tenkaichi 3 versus 1. So you just play 1 game and then you loop all the way back around over and over again. I only had enough patience to do that 5 total times unless we found a way to get past it, which I'll talk about or may not later in the video. My favorite things about Sparking Zero so far is that I 100% love the accessibility of Dragon Ball Sparking. You're probably like, why does the game need accessibility features? It's already easy. If y'all didn't know, or if you haven't played Budokai Tenkaichi 2 or 3 since the crack of dawn it came out, I'm going to tell you right now that Budokai Tenkaichi series overall, as it's grown, has won critically acclaimed awards for being one of the best fighting games of its year, and especially Budokai Tenkaichi series has a lot more depth and technical nuances than most anime arena fighters of today outside of a few. Heck, Tenkaichi is an air and grounded game. A lot of things change and a lot of properties matter in Tenkaichi series. So I want to talk about the accessibility here. One cool thing is that if you're new to Tenkaichi, you can hop into this game. This game has like a very low entry barrier but high skill ceiling when we get to the nitty gritty of it. So in Sparking Zero, you have the ability to customize and turn off all of the settings for auto assistance or auto combo, all that stuff. You could turn it off completely. For my playthrough of this build, I turned it all the way off to see if I get any type of form of assistance to play the game with. I really do love that they have this type of stuff in arena fight, especially a game of this caliber, because it can be overwhelming if you ain't playing this game a lot or constantly or don't know the tech. Once you start playing Sparking Zero, you get about 30 or 40 character selections, however being a lot of different Gokus, Vegetas, and different transformations. Not every character was in the build that we got announced so far, but the general ones you would expect to be playable are in the build already. During my playtime, I probably focused on like Goku, Android 18, and Trunks. That might be my general team, but I ain't got everybody yet, so don't hold me to that. My first game with Android 18 made me realize something, that this game, getting used to it, is completely different from Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3 in my honest opinion. Like instantly turn it on without playing it for a while, my experience here, I was just literally getting cooked and I was trying to get used to just how the game moves across the board. If we're talking about the game feel overall, I think in terms of speed, BT2 and BT3 feel much faster overall. However, Sparking Zero finds the middle ground of best of both worlds and smooths out a lot of the gameplay altogether. In some ways, this is good and also horrible. But no, Sparking Zero is not slow. I won't call it completely horrible because of that. If somebody's gonna ask about the accessibility of the game, to be honest with you, it's a pretty pick up and play game off rip. So anybody new that wants to jump into this series that probably comes from Xenoverse or from any other Dragon Ball game such as Fighters even, you can hop into Sparking Zero with some ease. But more on the control schemes, for people that's gonna ask quick questions about the control schemes of Sparking Zero, I did play 1 game with the new control scheme, and I will say you can do everything on both control schemes, but I didn't explore much of that. So when it comes to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's movement, this is why I think it almost excels compared to any other arena fighter. Well, not Tenkaichi 2 and 3. because there's some nuances and I don't want to go too nerdy in this video for y'all. So, like I said from the beginning, what makes Sparking Zero so hype is that the gameplay when you're not close up to your opponent has this different angle compared to the rest of the series. This is what I think is going to be the hardest part about playing Sparking Zero. The movement in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero resembles not only that of Tenkaichi a little bit, but when you're far away and in the zoning-like mode, it turns into Armored Core. Very specifically, from my knowledge, Armored Core 6. The way you can boost dash from left to right and move up and down and continuously cancel it from it and possibly capitalizing off of your opponent's missed key blasts or special moves is outstanding in this game. That is really cool. I also have a thing that's a pro and con. The homing dash where you stop and then you go around them. I think that shit's broken. It is too fast. I think it's like unreactably crazy. Maybe there'll be tech when the game comes up where you could just pop a super when you see it, or it might have some tracking on that you could stop it from. But that is really fast in this game, and it'll get me lightheaded. The first thing I hate about this game, after elongated play, like after going around in rotation manager, I had like 3 to 5 minute games each time I walked in that circle amount of times and finessed the system once. The camera overall in the game needs to be able to be adjusted a little bit more. Maybe put the characters a little bit closer or move things in a little faster. I found myself, maybe because of the monitors I was playing on and how I was standing and looking up at the screen, it was making me a little lightheaded and I was getting a little bit of headaches too. I was going through it. Now, here's where I get to a little bit of negative of the game. I feel like almost every influencer that got to play the game early, most people were kind of over exaggerating a little bit, and let me explain why. Unfortunately, if you're a hardcore fan of Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3, you might like the essence of this game. However, I think Sparking Zero is nowhere near as good as Tenkaichi 2 or 3 already. Essentially what I want to call this, and not in a mean slanderous way, some people gonna take it as that, as I said anyway, it's Dragon Ball Sparking Strive. Where it's modernized, it's really solid, it's a really great game, but compared to BT2 and BT3, there's a lot more going on that you have to do mechanics and button wise that made those games unique in a way. And somebody will say it's like Raging Blast. No, I'm not saying that 100%, but you could definitely tell, and I don't want to scare people. Please do not get scared when I see this. It's like they took the skeleton of Tenkaichi and added jump force in it together. That's what happened. For example, like revenge counter that takes 1 blast stock. It's too easy. It feels like jump force. And if the netcode's not good, it's just gonna piss me off a lot more. Like I'm telling you right now, oh my God, I'm gonna get so heated playing this game online. I still do believe that if you're a hardcore, probably a pro player or long-time player of the Tenkaichi series, you may either love this and grow into it. I got the best way to explain it, right? It's essentially like how we have Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and everybody has certain aspects they love with those games. There's going to be a huge crowd for Sparking Zero. And that's the KH3 of this. And both good and bad. Even though I have my own gripes with the revenge counter in the game, they have punishes for them, which feels very similar to like burning a base in Guilty Gear or punishing someone's burst in like BlazBlue. So I love that 100%. 1000%. Overall, I think Sparking Zero from my experience is, I feel like what I'm really was frustrated with the game was because people are like, this game pretty, this game, and everybody that played it, no hate on them because they probably ain't got the Tenkaichi experience to talk about it in that way, and ain't no hate on it, but like, it's just manually frustrating when everybody's like, this shit gorgeous, this feels like this game, but don't know the issues or the nuances of the game to like really add a critique people want to hear. And that's why I was disappointed with it, because it was hyped up so much that a lot of people were just yapping to me at that point. I don't need to know if this shit look cool. I've seen fighters. I don't care how the game looks, bro. I just want it to play good. I do think Sparking Zero as a game will be a game that will evolve and find more tech over time. Maybe not in the way we may be thinking, but the game itself, I'm excited for because it's giving me these Storm 3 vibes. However, at the same time, I feel like a lot of people are not talking about the gameplay, and rather, besides a couple few, Tenkaichi pros and veterans, but nobody's talking about the gameplay. They're just having fun that it looks like what it is, and that is a problem. That frustrates the hell out of me. But now I said on Twitter that I will be doing a Q&A for Sparking Zero. If you still got any more questions after the Q&A, comment down below and I hit you right back. Okay. Historic Flappy asks, upon viewing back, it looks a little stiff with nuanced impacts. How did it impact the attacks feel as you were attacking your opponent? I'ma be real honest, sucked to me. Personally, it ain't that bad, but it ain't as good as BT3, BT2. VD2 Adam says, is beam clashing still as far as before, or do you feel like it's over the top? I personally think it's way better than it was back in the day. A little bit. When it comes to beam clashing, the screen gets all chaotic and nuanced, and like it's cool for the first time. I personally like the old way in Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3. And I know this is different from what I was saying on Twitter, but I like the old way because you know who was winning, right? And it added intensity for people to mash more faster. Right now, it feels very scripted how it plays out until you get closer towards the end. I don't know, but it's still fire to me. However, I know when I play the game, if I have to deal with beam clashes, I'm just gonna look at the little HUD and gauge anyway to win anyway. How fluid does the combo movement feel? Combos feel good to perform in Sparking Zero on a base level from the time I had to play it. There's some interesting things you can do with Ki Blast, like step back, Ki Blast to keep the combo going, what you saw at the beginning of this video. Would you say Sparking Zero combat feels closer to Xenoverse than Budokai Tenkaichi? Hell no, it feels nothing like Xenoverse. Maybe in the beginning with the outside of barrier movement when you move in that way, if anything, but I'm being nice here. Hell no, it's definitely more Tenkaichi. Yeah, way more than that. Mario Official asks, what's the combo system like in comparative to previous games? How in depth is the custom fight system? Can I make boss characters in that? Can it be a 3v1? What do you think is the best character so far and why? Most negative critique. You asking me all the bombshells. Honestly, it's a mixture of BT2 and BT3 with like the rush combos and how things work. If anything, it doesn't feel like Rage and Blast at all. So if you're worried about that, that's not in the game at all, to be honest with you. It feels very more closer to a modernized version. It feels very closer to a modernized version of BT2 and BT3. Yeah, in the build we played, it was you pick 3 characters and you just fight one, so that is possible. However, I don't know if that's possible online unless that is the rolling and team match when you play online or other modes. I personally think right now, from experience, from what I've been hearing that whole weekend at EVO, Tien might be cracked. His charge projectile will actually cook. I never got to talk about charge projectiles anyway. I felt like a lot of them felt very whack. Like even up close and the opponent not even moving, I've missed some charge projectiles. Like Trunks is just misses. Like some moves just don't work, right? 18s would miss. But Tien, you could throw a little Ki Blast almost full map and combo off of it. Right now, just early speculation, Tien could be one of the strongest characters in this game. Who knows? But we ain't got everybody. He could probably be strong now and then go way down when we get everybody and our full hands on the game. Most negative critique, I think the camera is probably the worst thing about the game sometimes. Like, and that's probably like the worst thing about the game. Like, you would argue like, well, arena fighters usually have bad cameras, but like, I can name a couple that have really good ones. It's not really locked and the game moves kind of crazy. So until we get the game on and have like elongated play with it, it will take some time to get used to. Okay, Joshua 38X says, is there any more impact, any slight screen shaking in this build? Is the combo depth still there from BT3? Is it slower, the same, or faster paced than BT3? What really sets it apart from BT3 so far gameplay wise? And what are the biggest negatives so far? They took a lot of technical nuance stuff, like the harder shit that you usually get to do, especially with like SM movement in Tenkaichi. Just some stuff like that overall has been taken out. But however, we all ain't got our hands on it 24/7. I would definitely say the game is probably slower than BT2 and BT3. I could be mistaken, but the way you move in those games versus the way you move here, it's very much of a nerf type of thing or a modernized take on it. Combo depth can still be very unique in this game, especially when people start using revenge counters and you punish them for it. That can still be good in Tenkaichi. What do you think they can improve on? What would you like for them to add in the game mechanic wise? There's a lot I think they can improve on. Number one, they have to work on some moves being better than what they were before. Some shit just wasn't cooking. Marcel Lee asks, or M. Bagman, is it worth playing the BT series in preparation for Sparking Zero, or does the gameplay differ? The gameplay in its own right has its own nuance to where you can hop in and just play. So you may not need to play the BT series beforehand. The game also, we already know that it does have a tutorial, but you know how fighting game tutorials be sometimes. They don't teach you everything. Some might do it better than others, like Guilty Gear and Under Night, but not everything gonna be in that tutorial, bruh. I personally think right now you should get used to playing. I will answer this my way. Number one, I think you should play through Armored Core 6, because that's what the movement's gonna feel like, moving around with the dash boosting and stuff like that. I think the big things you need to learn right now with Sparking Zero, I think the big key 3 things you need to take away from Sparking Zero is resource management, movement, and space manipulation is going to be the biggest things that help you succeed in this game overall. So getting used to those systems in BT2 and BT3 will help you out tremendously. I'm not even gonna lie to you. He said, can you cancel, Just Lady says, can you cancel charge key and smash by guard, teleporting, or sidestep? I think I had an instance. I can't find the footage at the moment, or if I do, I will put it up. But there's an instance where like I was charging, somebody did a beam attack and instantly just vanished away from it as a defensive option. I think there's other ways to do it. If you have blast stocks, you can also get around people that just wants to chase you down while you're charging or trying to do potential unleash or something powering up. So there's ways to defend yourself and act out of things in this game. May not be as good as BT2 and BT3, but overall, my biggest gripe, like I said, is the camera. So that can make it very hard to focus on things for me right now. He said, is the music like the OG3 games or buns? I'm going to keep it real with you, Chief. It sounds good for what it is. If we comparing it to BT3, BT2, shit, Budokai even, this music sucks right now. I ain't heard every track though, so don't hold me to that. And then the last question I get, is it better than Curse Clash? They 2 different types of arena fight. Y'all JJK slanderers never cease to amaze me. But yes, it is. You just wanted me to say that on camera, huh? Yes, it is. Cause it looks pretty. You thought I was gonna let that rock. Haha. That being said, everybody, it's your boy Avataryaya. You guys are golden, and that is raw. I had fun at EVO talking about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and my criticisms and my complaints also come from the amount of time I had with the game and the environment, standing up playing it, not having a contained room to play the game all together. So things can change when the game actually comes out, when we get a beta or something else happens where I can play the game a lot more. But there's even been more clips of high level tech for the game. A lot of cheap shit has came out of these builds, especially not only from EVO, Anime Expo, and Summer's Games Fest, but also from the build in Japan. And apparently the EVO build we played is like the oldest build since Summer's Game Fest and outdated. So things could change tremendously by the time I get to actually play the game again. If you guys want to subscribe for more fighting game content and everything else in between, comment down below. I'm about to talk about Hunter x Hunter and Impact. And remember, you guys are golden, and that is raw. Squala, peace, and I'm out.
Let's see who's stronger.